Linda McAven, good morning. You are an MEP, part of the EU delegations, the European Parliament delegations in Copenhagen. What's your perspective on the stage of negotiation? Do you see any clear commitment coming out, or are you expecting leaders to actually come up with it?
Well, this morning, Wednesday morning, things are moving very slowly. Not as much progress has been made as we had hoped on the key texts. And so what we really need now is the European Union to show some real leadership. In the talks this afternoon, our leaders are arriving. Our prime ministers, our presidents are coming here today to Copenhagen, and they need to go and show that the EU is still prepared to lead and to push other developed countries into making an agreement.
What kind of leadership do you mean in terms of targets, for example?
Well, the EU has this debate about should we put 20% on the table in terms of our emission cuts or 30%. I think now we should be saying to people, we are prepared to go that bit further. You know, we cannot leave Copenhagen on Friday without a global commitment to do something about climate change. The kind of measures we've taken in Europe, for example, emissions trading, they take years to get up and running. So unless other countries get the signal this week that they too need to have an emissions trading scheme, they too need to have renewable targets, then we will just delay our tackling of climate change, and that will make it even more difficult in the future to reach any targets.
What about climate finance? The EU has come up with the pledge to give startup money for up to 2012, 7.2 billion overall for the next 3 years. Do you think that will be, we have seen Japan doing the same, do you think the US will come up with that commitment?
Well, we're hearing talk now that the US will do something in the short term. It's quite complicated in the US because the US president does not have budgetary powers, and so it's Congress that has those powers. But I think we need the US to make a gesture, and then we need also to have some plan for long-term finance beyond 2012. And of course in Europe we have part of the answer, because from 2013 we will have funding from emissions trading. And if other countries do emissions trading, they too can generate funds we can use for developing countries and also to adapt our own countries to climate change.
Now, the EU has started thinking, especially the European Parliament, to come up with a Tobin tax, to raise enough funding to tackle climate change and do the right investment. Do you see this going ahead as a plan, or?
Well, I'm a long-standing supporter of the Tobin tax. I think it's a very important instrument, and I'm very pleased now that Gordon Brown, the British Prime Minister, has put this on the table at the highest possible level. I've been in Washington 4 weeks ago talking to members of the US Congress, and there too there is some movement towards this Tobin tax. We need to do something about our international financial situation, our financial system. We need to do something about climate change. Let's combine the two. Regulate the banks better, get some funding to dampen down some of the too much speculation in the system, and use the money for climate change.
Okay, thank you.